Hi guys, hello, and this is a video for Lilywhite Lane regarding my all-time top 11. Now this is going to be a very interesting one because obviously there will be players in there that in the history of Tottenham Hotspur will probably more than deserve to be in that squad. But I'm going to choose an 11 from the time that I remember actually seeing them play for Tottenham. Some, for example, in the midfield, and I will elaborate, that I saw very little, but in that time, they were absolute quality. Because, not forgetting, I came to England on the back of sort of 86, 87. So, for one or two players, I only saw them briefly, but they had an immediate impact to me and how I saw them and how they remained in my mind. So let's start from the back. The goalkeeper, I'm going to keep it like a 4-4-2. I will keep it very, very simple as to the formation. So it makes it, we go by step as to who my 11 will be. So I'm going to start with in goal. Listen, Paul Robinson, Aurelio Gomez, Brad Friedel, Walker, all good players and all good goalkeepers in there, right? And before then, you know, undoubtedly, Pat Jennings is the best ever goalkeeper to wear the Spurs jersey, in my opinion, and probably a majority of your opinions. But I didn't see him play, guys. I don't actually remember him on the telly or being at the stadium, but particularly watching him on the telly at that time when I was a kid watching Spurs. I didn't see him play, so I won't put him in my team just on that basis alone. It'll be the same for a lot of those positions. So my choice, because I absolutely loved him. I remember his jerseys, the blue Jays jersey with mixed sort of purpley sort of colours and had a like fluorescent feel to it. I used to love it. I used to love that jersey, and he was fantastic the season that we went on to win the FA Cup in 1991, where Gascoigne, rightly so, deserved all the plaudits. But he was brilliant that season in goal. And I had an absolute, I grew a real soft spot for him, man. And I still have a soft spot for that goalkeeper. He's Eric the Viking Torsvett. Fantastic goalie. Big, strong. Listen, he was tall. He was just a real presence, man. Massive hands. I remember his hands. I met him when I was a kid. His hands were huge. And for me, he is like a silent, one of those guys that gave me the impression that was just a silent sort of get on with it sort of player. And I love those players. I love it. Maybe not the most vocal, but surely he had a real connection with the fans. I remember Eric having a real good connection. Started a bit wobbly his career at Spurs, but after that, man, he grew into his stature as a Spurs goalie, and he had, like I said, a wonderful relationship with the fans. And I think that's what we take most as part of being on that FA Cup winning side. I remember him that the connection that he had with them. Let's move on to the right back spot. Quite a few here. I mean, Kyle Walker would be immediately spring to mind, and he would probably make a lot of your teams as the best right back, certainly recent times. You can, you know, many of those. Danny Thomas was another one I remember fondly. Really good, solid player he was. I'm going to go with, and I remember him fondly, little fella, man, but he was so much energy, man. Chris Hughton. I don't know if you guys agree with it, man, but I had a real spot for Chris Hughton. Just a real workaholic right back, man. Up and down, man. Energy levels, stamina levels was off the hook. And like I said, Kyle Walker would probably be the right choice, but listen, man, I'm going to go with my feeling and how I felt watching these guys play, man. And I had a real spot for Chris, and for me, he was a quality player, a real servant. And his affiliation with the club and how he's remembered fondly still to this day. He's remembered really fondly at Tottenham Hotspur, certainly by me anyway. So yeah, for that reason, he makes my top 11 of Spurs. Moving on to the centre-backs. Right, let's go with the first. Steve Perryman will be in there. Like I said, I can go on and say all these legends, legendary centre-backs. But like I said, Steve Perryman I was a little bit too young to remember Steve, although I know fully well his story. I've read his book. Brilliant leader of men. Fantastic presence. Not only won domestic trophies, he won in Europe. Player of the year. Listen, I can go on and on and on, and he should be there by right probably. But look, I'm gonna go with the ones I remember. Let's start with Gary Maber. Abbott, legend, man. Legend. When I first moved to England, he was the captain of Tottenham. How he never made... Why, guys, can you guys put in a comment why he never made more appearances for the England side? Was there a reason to that? I've never really looked into that. Why he never played for England more than he should have. I think he deserved a lot more presence than what he actually got. No? For me... Amazing centre-back. I was so upset, man, when that injury to his eye caused by John Fashionu's elbow. That was just disgraceful, man. And that really like upset me for a long time when that happened. And I remember, like, you know, they were talking about him not coming back to football and like, you know, he was going to be out he was out for a long time, and it was like, he really done the job on him, John. He really did the job on him. But the legend that he is, and still to this day that he still is a legend at the club, respected by all, really goes out of his way to with the fans. And listen, for me, he was another one, a leader of men, a wonderful captain. I haven't got a bad word to say about him. Absolutely incredible. He's also, given his condition, you know, for those who don't know it, diabetic, and he, you know, he had to, you know, back then, nowadays is the more like, but back then, back in the 80s, a different time, man. So to go on to have a career that he did in you know, listen, fantastic. The centre back I'm going to put alongside him, Ledley King. By far my absolute, I mean, I love Gary, as I mentioned, man, but this guy just levels, probably up there as my all-time favourite centre-back. That speaks a lot, man, because I grew up watching Baresi, I grew up watching Maldini. This Ledley, man, he's up there. Trust me, he is up there. Levels, man, the guy was an absolute beast of a centre-back. Also giving, like, again, the reasons, his chronic knee problems and stuff like that, to able to still have a career what he did, and even with the injuries, even not training, my God, it's like, the guy was a fantastic, and he would have gone on to smash records after records if he had been a little bit more lucky in the injury front. He would have been, for me, he would have been in that England side for years and years to come. And you can talk about the John Terrys, you can talk about the Rio Ferdinands that went on to like become regulars for that England side. Listen, they had nothing on Ledley. They absolutely had nothing on Ledley. He would have been an absolute legend, not only for club, but for country too. Ledley's amazing. His story speaks volumes. I don't need to add any more about him. Let's move on to the left back. Yeah, I was thinking Tremezzani. Tremezzani. God, Pat Van Den Haar. I mean, we had some players, some absolute legends. Legendary players. But do you know what? Like I said, there's players in our history that will probably be more deservingly to be there. But I think in the best sort of time, I'm going to go with, listen, Danny Rose will be another one, but I'm not going to pick Danny Rose. But he probably deserves. I'm going to pick another centre back that's also has played left back. Maybe not his position, but I just wanted him in the team, and I'm going to go with Jan Vertonghen. I'm going to put Jan Vertonghen at left back. Like I said, Danny Rose probably would be the most ideal to be in there in that time, and we've had some real players in the past that could have been there, but I'm going to go with Jan, man. Jan just, he has my heart, man. He was an absolute beast of a player. What a signing, what is. I still think of some of the tackles that he put in over the years, and what a brilliant partnership he created with Toby Alderweireld, who's another one unlucky to not be in that defence. But how can I drop Ledley King and Gary Abbott to make way for any of them? And even Jan, I had to find a way to at least put one of those two in there. So I'm going to choose Jan at left back. Fantastic player, Superman. Legend, man, legend. Still to this day, you know when they leave, man, and they still leave that sign to say, man, what a great player he was. And I don't think anyone's got a bad word to say about Jan or Toby for the matter. Brilliant servant of the clubs, for the club, and true legend, man. He's in a lot of people's hearts. Midfield. Let's start with the midfield. On the right wing, I'm going to go with Chrissy Waddle. My God. Quick. Skillful. Left-footed player that liked playing on the right wing. Taking on players. The hair, remember the hair, that mullet that he used to have back in the 80s? What a player. Always when he got on that ball. When he got on that ball, man, it was always exciting. Always at the edge of our feet. Watching him taking on players, left. Was he going to go to the left? Go to the right? He's such a wizard, man. Such a wizard on that wing. He was superb, man, and he absolutely one of the first my first memories of player taking players on or at every given opportunity. Quality player, man. Went on to play for England, of course, but man, he was, unlucky to be known for that penalty miss in the 1990 World Cup. But for me, he was absolutely, had me always at the edge of my feet when I used to watch him. It used to excite me when I used to love watching wingers taking on players. It's like that 4-4-2, everyone, you had to take on your man. He was brilliant at that. Centre midfield. And now another one. This is a tough one because there's so many greats. Hazard, there's our dealers, Ricky Villa. Where do I stop, guys? Centre midfield, we were so blessed with so many players over the years and years, even before my time. Blessed of having quality midfielders in there. But I'm gonna go with Glenn Hoddle. Glenn Hoddle deserves a spot for me in that centre midfield. Just elegance, class, passing ranges, skill. Wasn't the quickest, but quickest up here. Assist. Do you know what? He had his own way of playing. He was streets ahead of his time. And he was so unlucky to have been dealt the way that he was for England. Choosing players like Peter Reid. And do you know what? It upsets me to think about players like Peter Reid got more caps, and I might be wrong in saying this, so I need to check this out. But I remember Peter Reid being a regular there. Obviously, Brian Robson deserved to be in that England. He was quality, but how can you not make way for Glenn Hoddle in that team? We preferred players for England, preferred players to break play rather than create. And that guy, he could have gone anywhere in the world. He could have gone to Italy, which was a good league back in the 80s. He could have gone there, and he would have been no problem in there. He would have been absolute class to go in there. So for me, he was dealt a hard hand for England, but for Spurs, man, and for you ask any Spurs fan, this guy was next level. When you hear players like the likes of Mickey Hazard and Perryman or anyone else that played alongside or had the fortune, or I've heard recently Hazard and Perryman speak about him, and anyone that played alongside him or against him would tell you Hoddle was absolutely up there as a quality world-class midfielder. Next to him, My man, Paul Gaza Gascoigne. The guy needs no introduction, man. He was at Spurs only a short time. But he made such an impact in the Spurs world. Exciting, a player, a modern day midfielder that could take on players, shimmy past them. He had the skill, he had the vision, he had goals in him. He was box to box. He was the most complete midfielder, the most talented midfielder growing up, English midfielder that I can remember today. I know Hoddle was brilliant, fantastic, but he was a different type of player to Gascoigne. Gascoigne was just box to box, just drive, absolute drive. When he decided it was his day, you can do nothing to stop him. And many tried. And back then, they used to batter you, man. They used to put some challenges there that was like GBH, man. GBH challenge. They used to go for your knees, go for your ankles. They used to break players back then. And on rubbish pitches as well, man. If you look at some of the pitches that Gaza had to play in, and all players in that era, levels. And again, another player that left, and you find that, you know, years after, he is spoken of in that way, and he is loved by all Spurs fans and non, but he's particularly with Spurs fans. He's got a wonderful relationship with them. Legend, man. Absolute legend. So we've got Waddle, Hoddle, Gascoigne, left wing. For me, another one. This and again, it's debate, but I'm gonna go with what I feel, man, in that time and how he made me feel watching him play. David Ginola. Another one, a right-footed player that like playing on the left, like Waddle like playing on the right as left-footed. This guy like playing on the left, and he was right-footed. Brilliant, man. Elegance, skills, goals. Just another exciting. He played in a borderline rubbish Spurs side, man. Let's be honest, it wasn't the greatest team to play with. When you look at the level of that team, but he was the apple of my eye on that side, man. He excited me. Wherever I always made sure that I sat either on the west or the east of the stadium, you know, back in the old White Lane, because I just wanted to get a glimpse of him on the wing, whether it be the first half or the second half, depending where I was sitting, man. I always had to have at least one half where he was on my side, and I had to just watching him, just in awe. Great elegance. You didn't know which way he was going to go. Was he going to go on the left? He was so good with 2 feet as well. 2 feet that defenders just had a nightmare with him, and he used to give them loads of nightmare. The best right backs, you know, the Gary Neville's of the Man United, and he was just an absolute handful. Destroyed them. On his day, he used to destroy those players. So he makes my team on that base. So that's the 4-4-2. So we've got the defenders, we've got the goalkeeper, we've got the midfielders. I'm going to speed this up. I'm going to try and finish inside 20 minutes. So I'm going to be real quick. I'm going to give, right, my first striker, obviously, I'm going to pick, and he's still playing right now. I'm going to say Kane. I'm going to call it right here, right now. Jimmy Greaves, many other strikers, great legends of the game, and Spurs. And listen, I didn't see Jimmy. I know about Jimmy, but I didn't see Jimmy. Kane, I've seen him, and we're still watching him now. For me, he's the best striker right now. He's the best striker ever to wear the Spurs shirt. I'll call it out now. I think in years to come, we will look back at Kane and realise, if we haven't done so right now, we will realise just how a great striker he is, and just has everything about his game. Just levels, man. Absolute levels. What a striker, man. What a striker. He has to be there. The next striker. Now, listen, Jermaine Defoe, Robbie Keane could be in there. Lineker, I loved Lineker as well, man. But he was there only a short time, and he was unlucky to be in a team where we could have had Gascoigne and Hoddle being in there still. But they departed as he was lucky because they left shortly, not long after and he was there. And I think he played in such a mediocre team after that, man. After they left, you know, I think he would have gone on to score so many more goals if we'd kept them a bit longer. But unfortunately, it is what it is. Who am I picking for my final striker? This had me thinking a lot because I knew Kane was going to be in there. This is a tricky one. This is a tricky one. I loved the foul. I really did love the foul. I loved Keane. Right, just because of his ridiculously goal record and just different animal on his day, different animal. And I had the biggest, I love Jermaine Defoe, man. I'm going to pick Defoe to play alongside Kane. Best striker of all time? I don't know, man. I'm just giving you what he gave me, what he gave me as a fan. Just a different type of animal in front of goal. He was superb, man. He was superb. First time he came, second time he came, he was absolute animal. Left foot, right foot. My God, he can finish from anywhere. And like I said, whilst, you know, you could have put Teddy Sheringham in there, Klinsmann, there's so many great strikers, man. But I'm going to go with how they made me feel, man, as a fan. And for me, just I put him in there because of a great striker, proper number 9, animal. He could score in the box, outside the box, left foot, right foot. Listen, man, the guy was proper mustard. I wish he'd been in a bit. He'd played in a more successful team. But listen, man, as a player, and I'm validating them as the player that they gave me so much joy, man, having them team and the goals that they banged. It was superb. So that's my 11, guys. Torsvert in goal, right back Chris Hughton, centre backs King and Maber. Left back was Jan Vertonghen for me. Paul Gascoigne and Hoddle in the centre of midfield. On the right, Waddle. On the left, Ginola. And up front, Kane alongside Defoe. I hope you enjoyed my top 11. What are your top 11? Put it in the comments below. We want to see. Robbie and I will be watching your teams in that, in the comments below. And yeah, as always, forever always, come on you Spurs.